Yeah.
Let's go, Matt.
Thanks, Chris.
That's right. Drive it on that.
This one. Well, first, we'll just go through a level 1 assessment. A level 1 is either a simple walk by or a drive by of a tree, and we'll just look for obvious defects like snapped branches, hanging branches, large pieces of dead wood, things of that nature. When we do a risk assessment, we look at the likelihood of failure, and this is determined by site factors, response growth, overall tree health, any interesting features on the tree. So after the likelihood of failure, we then look at the likelihood of impact. What is the chance of that tree part hitting something? And then after that, we look at the consequence. Is it a severe consequence or is it a minor consequence? And that helps us determine our level of risk.
So when you're doing a walkthrough like this, what are you looking for?
Any obvious defects, any dead wood, any snapped branches, hanging limbs, hollows, cavities, tears, any wounds, injury, any signs of disease.
And then if you see something like that, is that when you look to escalate to move up to level 2?
That would prompt a level 2 assessment, yeah. Larger eucalypts always have a level 2 assessment.
Okay, as a bare minimum for them. Yeah.
That's a City of Burnside rule of thumb. So we'll start a level 2 assessment first by just measuring the tree. This helps us keep our records up to date. So this tree has a diameter of 61 centimeters. After our measurements are recorded, I'll use a sounding hammer. This helps to determine any internal defects, hollowing. We strike the tree with the hammer and listen for any tonal differences in the wood. And any drumming sound will tell me that there is something below the surface to be mindful of, such as a pocket of decay, and I'll just work my way around the tree. So this tree appears to be stable and sound. So this is just a simple probe tool that we'll use for a level 2 assessment. It just helps us see how deep a cavity is. I can then go back to the sounding hammer and find out how deep that goes. Although it does go deep, we've got lots of response growth around here. This shows me the tree is doing really well at sealing itself over. This is called occlusion. Again, with a level 2, like we did with a level 1, we'll have a good look for any abnormalities in the crown, any hanging branches, any dead wood, particularly if it's brittle dead wood, we'll look at removing that. We'll have a good look at branch unions and make sure that they are strong and structurally sound, which this tree, although it does have a nice hollow in the middle of the trunk there, the unions do appear to be nicely joined. So this is our resistor graph. This is what we use to actually drill into the tree, and it will give us a reading based on the resistance of the wood. So it'll print that out as a graph, and we'll see higher readings where we have stronger wood, low readings where we have weaker or no wood, and then we would expect to see stronger wood again on the other side of a trunk. So what this graph here is showing me is that the resistor graph measured nice, strong, structural, thick timber, thick wood all the way through here, through this region, and then had a slight dip here where inside the tree may have been a tiny hollow or a tiny pocket of decay, but looks good. So the good thing about forestry is I can carry out an assessment in the field, and all of the information I collect will be uploaded to the server. Then I'll update inspection notes with any observations, which with this one at the moment is just some minor pieces of dead wood there. So we have two main types of work. We have reactive work, which is mainly driven by our customer requests. Anyone can request a tree to be inspected by ringing up the council. We'll then come out and assess the tree and make any determinations on any pruning or removals from there on. Then we have our proactive side of things, where we will undertake a cyclic audit on every tree in the City of Burnside every 4 years. So these trees have obviously been here for a really long time. They're constantly having to cope with environmental changes. You know, we have lots of roads and footpaths and buildings, houses, when many years ago we didn't have any of that. Some of these new environmental changes can cause the trees stress. Above all, we want to ensure the safety of our community and also retain these beautiful trees. The hard part about tree assessments and mitigating risk is that trees are a living thing. They're constantly changing and adapting to the environment around them. I've worked with trees my whole life. I've always been very passionate, and I'm quite fortunate to be able to get out in this beautiful part of Adelaide and look at some really nice trees.